Up the ballad, what did I see? The same old suit staring back at me. They say we'll reform with a straight face, but it's just...
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether to do this video or not, but I saw something last night on Paul Thorpe's channel, and well, I've got a little channel, no one very much watches it. I felt I had to say it for my own humanity, really. I was thinking the last few days when I've seen the centre right ripping itself apart politically. We've seen the Restore Britain and Advance UK backwards and forwards. Comments on some of these videos quite sort of vitriolic. And I thought to myself, no one ever takes into consideration, do they, that we all take different paths in life. We've all seen different things which give us our views. If you're a champagne socialist like Gary Neville or Gary Lineker, you live at the end of a long drive. Migration, an illegal migration, probably never going to affect you. You know, the daughter gets picked up and taken to school or even to a club in a limousine, possibly sometimes personal protection. It's just a different world. Some of these people, I watched Steve Law's being interviewed. He was brought up in a predominantly white area, and for whatever reason he's got his views that we should repatriate everyone basically with a different skin colour, which I totally disagree with, whilst respecting his right to hold that view. And I was thinking of my own life, brought up on a council estate in southwest London, and having friends of all colours from as early as I can remember, particularly friends who were black. I remember 2 estates where there was so much mistrust that we were told that after dark we couldn't go over to theirs, and my black friend's family, John, he couldn't come over to our estate after a certain time at night. And as the years went on, we had no DEI then, the racial abuse gradually, I'm not going to say ever stops, because there's always people out there, white on black and black on white, who are racists for whatever reason. Their path in life has made that way. Maybe their parents were like that, maybe something happened to them. But yeah, they've always existed, and I'm sure they always will. When you got to see when a black footballer has a bad game, you get these idiots online giving them grief, and it's sad. It's sad in this day and age. So yeah, I've always been surrounded by those friends. Would I deport any of those friends? No, I wouldn't. Would I deport any of their families? No, I wouldn't. Do I consider some of them British? Yes, I do. Do they consider themselves British? Yes, they do. Do they consider themselves Indigenous English or Indigenous Scottish or Indigenous Welsh? No, obviously not. But some of them would be in a trench next to me if we were in a real war tomorrow, not a proxy NATO war that's been invented with and enticed with Russia, but in a proper war. Some of those guys and gals would be in a trench with me, and I'd trust them, and they'd trust me. And for me, it's attitude, it's life values, it's a love of the country that make you British. Just my opinion, and I know there's people out there, I've seen it in the last few days, who totally disagree with me. Now, Restore Britain and Advance UK. I know Ben Habib has been getting absolute pelters from people for taking a £5,000 donation back. Now this was last October, and for some strange reason Restore Britain's PR team have just let it slip out in the last few days. Now that Restore Britain have applied to be a British political party. Strange timing. You had Ben Habib saying that he would merge with Restore Britain, and he was quite happy to stand down and let Rupert Lowe run everything, and apparently that's got no response from Rupert Lowe whatsoever. Now that tells me 2 things: either they've fallen out big time over something or other, Ben Habib and Rupert Lowe, or Rupert Lowe's team around him, for some reason, don't like Ben Habib. Now, I don't know the full story behind this request for information about the rape gang inquiry, and Rupert Lowe then saying, I'll give you your donation back, and Ben Habib taking it. I don't know the full story. I wasn't there. There's your truth, there's their truth, and then there's the truth. But some of these people online, some people who have got YouTube channels, they were there. They know the full ins and outs. Even some people in the comments comment, they were there. They know exactly what the ins and outs of it were, to such an extent that they can give Ben Habib pelters for being not a very nice person. Now, I think we all, if you're watching this channel, you're probably worried about Islam. Radical Islam, yeah, but the creeping Islamification of this country. They say there's only 6% of people that are Muslims. Some of our inner cities would make me think it's slightly more than that, although I don't know how many are here illegally, obviously. I think foreign criminals should be deported. I think that if you're here illegally, you shouldn't be here. The more I read about Islam, the less I like it. I don't blame every Muslim because they've been indoctrinated since birth. But anyone who thinks that a paedophilic warlord who killed people is the perfect human being, I think they've got serious mental health problems. Just my opinion. If I'd been brought up in Pakistan as a Muslim, I would think totally differently, wouldn't I? But I worry about the actual religion, full stop, not just the nut jobs that get stabby and bomby. And our Prime Minister and leaders before him all seem to suck up to this lot for their votes, and I just see it as an evil ideology. Just my opinion. I'll never stop speaking out against it, even if they bring in their Islamophobia laws, because things like, not just Pakistani rape gangs, but things like stoning women to death for infidelity, things like child marriage, things like in some parts of the world, and I know it's not just their religion, female genital mutilation. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with women having to cover up to stop the urges of the men. If the men are so weak that women need to cover up, I'd suggest there's a problem with the men. I just don't like anything to do with it. So anything that addresses this growing doctrine, I'm all for, but I'm not about racism. And what I saw last night on Paul Thorpe's channel, which I hope you don't mind me replaying here, disgusted me.
Are you ready for this, everyone? I'm warning you, it ain't pretty. Now, I haven't got to say too much during this. This stuff speaks for itself. This has all been aimed at Ben over the last 2 weeks. And it has started only after the 7th of February and the advance event. Now, obviously, I can't read these out, because if I read these out, my channel would close down in about 30 seconds, right? And I need to put this up as well, so that anyone watching is not going to accuse me of saying these things myself. Do you get the drift, people? Do you get the message? Do you get why Ben has been upset? Do you get why Ben has been angry? Do you get why Ben feels that he deserved a bit of backup? Because I tell you what, I do.
Yeah.
And if this was happening to a friend of mine, someone that's supposedly a friend, and if this was coming from my so-called supporters, I will be on the phone to that person to disavow these comments to that individual. And this is what we've been saying, right? This is not aimed at this is not aimed as a criticism of Restore. This is trying to help him. This is trying to help Rupert, right? Rupert needs to get a grip with this. Just look at the comments. I mean, I don't know if you want to sit through 3 minutes of this, but it gets worse and worse and worse and worse.
And by the way, this is just public, so never mind the DMs that you probably received.
Yeah.
Now, do you know what? Where are we? We are, do you know what? Sod it. I'm going to let it play out. I'm going to let it go. Ben Habib is a thoroughly decent human being, right? He does not deserve this shit for trying his damnedest to save our country.
There's no one more patriotic than him either. He knows everything about.
Does anyone want to
the
put
culture.
their name to this, Sarah? Does anyone want to put their name to this and put their hands up and say, I'm proud of attacking a man that has done what he's done? He spent years in the European Parliament fighting for the United Kingdom. Ben has told me personally he's never experienced racism in this country.
No.
Never experienced racism. That's one of the reasons that he loves it so much. And look at this, all in the last 2 weeks. There you go.
So what do you think about that? Now, there's going to be some bots there. There's going to be some left-wing agitators. But there's also going to be some genuine far-right nut jobs right in that. Some real racists. Now, I'm speaking as a person who got kicked out of the Social Democratic Party. Yes, the SDP. Democratic? I don't think so. I got kicked out because I used to be a member of the National Liberal Party, who were set up by 2 guys who were former National Front members, and I've got to say, I never heard a thing. I was there a few years. I ended up as party secretary. I never heard a thing that was racist. In fact, I think they'd moved on from those thoughts in their younger days, and one of them had even married a Sri Lankan lady, a lovely lady. They were a lovely couple, and like I say, it's to my detriment that I left because of people said, oh, you know, there used to be National Front. I hated the National Front. I saw a National Front at work when I used to go to Chelsea. I've seen bananas thrown at black players. I saw everything, and it appalled me. When I saw that on the Paul Thorpe channel, I thought, I hope that the far right, the genuine far right, the real racist, the real my IQ's in me boots, who judge people by skin colour and not actions, by skin colour and not attitude. I think if these people are looking at any party and thinking, oh, we can get a foothold there, then I, for one, will be fighting against it. I like Ben Habib. I don't know the ins and outs of this donation. I've spoken to him personally on Zoom. When I've ever seen him speak, I like what he stands for, and I don't care about his skin colour. He considers himself British. He had the kahunas to set up a party, help finance it. He had the balls to say, I'm going to do something about the state of this country, which is a state. He had the organisational skills to set up a party that really looked at policies in depth. He came up with a real strategy of how we can fight this creeping left agenda that is indoctrinating our kids in school, pushing trans agendas and pushing sex on our kids at a very young age. They should be enjoying their childhoods, not being mutilated on a whim. And I was excited when I attended the Advanced UK policy launch, and now for some reason that I don't know, I would assume most of you don't know, Rupert Lowe has not only said, right, I'm going to launch a party. I don't want to be part of Advance UK, even though they've got very similar policies. And if I was to lead Advance UK, which I could have done, the offer was there, I could have changed those policies that I didn't like. But for some reason he's launched another party, which has caused so much aggravation and split the right, and caused who I consider a decent man in Ben Habib to get all this racist vitriol. Some of it will be from real people you wouldn't want in your pub quiz team, but real people. I hope the right can unite. I'm not a big lover of Nick Tanconi's style. And as a journalist said to me, he's a Christian, but he kicked a bloke in the head when he was on the floor. How does that marry up? I didn't have an answer because I don't know Nick Tenconi. There's probably a lot more to it than that. But I'm not into the Christianity side of things. Although I respect people, and if I had to follow a religion, it would be Christianity. The country was built on it. I like the teachings of Christ. It's just not for me. But politically, I want a Britain. I want a great Britain for my children and my friends' children, regardless of skin colour. Let me know your thoughts. I just hope we can all unite, restore Britain, advance UK, UKIP, my old party, the Alliance for Democracy and Freedom, who was once led by one of the most patriotic men I've ever met, Dr.Teck, who's Malaysian, a man of morals who I'd follow, who stood up against mRNA vaccines and lockdowns, who'd got the kahunas to implement some of these things that would curb Islam, that would curb the left. But we were a small party. We had no money. He's been trying to unite, and Mark Conway after him, and Ken Thompson in Scotland, and Rob Redhead in Wales. They've been trying to unite small parties. They haven't got to be agreeing on everything. They've been trying to get small parties together. And we had a hope at one point that all those small parties would join Advance UK or Restore Britain. But let's hope common sense prevails and everyone joins together who isn't far right and judges people on their skin in 2026. Let me know your thoughts. Please subscribe to the channel and yeah, throw the video a like. Thanks for watching. Oh, by the way, don't bother abusing me. I've done stand up that long. My skin's that thick. And yeah, okay, an ex-girlfriend once had our child aborted just in case it looked like me. There you go. Beat that. Thank you. Speak to you soon. Bye for now.